scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are
Just a quick
you
warning, this
on?
episode does talk about
Which side are
sexual
you
abuse,
on?
childhood sexual abuse, and a lot of talk about suicide. So please just be warned about that content going into this. It's motherfucking cold month!
Woo! Hey!
Everybody's favorite time of year.
Literally the best time
Oh
of
my
year.
God.
So excited.
I saw a little brown leaf outside and I was like, holy shit, it's time to talk about some
Time
colds.
to talk about colds, baby. Spooky time.
Spooky time.
Yo.
Yeah, and man, has there been so many good cult documentaries lately.
I don't really watch cold documentaries, to be honest, but
Boy do I.
I know that's
All I do is watch TV shows and especially documentaries. And yeah, wow, there's been some great.
I watch some good like YouTube documentaries on colds.
Well,
though,
sure.
so,
Yeah, you're a YouTube correspondent. I'm our like streaming
True.
services because I don't know YouTube anything.
Yeah.
Which it's funny actually because I've been seeing like there's been some YouTube things floating around in the Twitter sphere, and I have literally no idea what anybody's like referring to. And I know that you definitely have like a specific like avenue of YouTube that you're on, but I don't know. At least you're on the platform, so you know. I use YouTube to look up air horn sound effects. So
yeah, the one use.
uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is, but for some reason a YouTube video seems more palatable to me than like a documentary or like a show, you know?
I get it.
I don't know why
do.
that's the case, because I watch like 3-hour long YouTube videos on
Right.
shit, but
It's like how sometimes I'm like, I don't have time to watch a movie, but I do have time to watch like 6 episodes of The Office.
yeah,
you know?
this like TV show.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's jump into it. So, you all know how often I say that Utah is a breeding ground for cults. So for this Cult Month series, I decided to focus again on some cults that come from the Holy Land. Utah is a special place for cults. They develop easily in our culture, much like a petri dish to bacteria. Our habitat is warm and inviting to them, and helps them spread viciously. From our state's inception, we have been ruled by a strict set of expectations. Be pious, be obedient. If you're a woman, be subservient. Be white, follow a dress code, follow a recipe for the perfect family. Do not, under any circumstances, question the people telling you the rules. Even if you did not grow up as part of the Mormon regime in Utah, because it is.
Yeah.
The entire culture of the state seems to silently abide by the rules and lifestyle outlined by the church. Most Utah residents, however, have been indoctrinated from birth, and the ones that are able to come to the conclusion that they are in fact in a cult are left with a brutal decision. Leave behind all that you have known your entire life, face being shunned by your family, friends, and community, be left as an outcast of society, or stay knowing that every move you make is controlled, hurts you, hurts others, and costs you money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like a huge thing that I feel like people have to deal with like all the time when they leave the church is like, oh, now I have no friends or family anymore.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. And I do like, I criticize the Mormon church a lot, but I'm definitely not criticizing like all of the members because
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they risk leaving behind literally everything and all that they know.
Yeah.
So the members who make the difficult decision to leave the church are left without a community they know and are thrust into a world they're unfamiliar with. This, like many other victims of cults, leaves them vulnerable, searching for a community and some guidance, and ripe for the picking from yet another cult. And this is what makes Utah the prime rotting fruit for the bacteria that are cults. The structure... the structure that is so ingrained in our daily lives that we aren't even cognizant of it, and the wayward souls who have broken from the communities they've known. And this is how Teal Swan infected the lives of millions of people beginning in the small, insular town of Logan, Utah. Talking about Teal Swan, baby.
Teal Swan. I mean, I personally prefer Tangerine Duck myself, but...
Tangerine Duck's a little less less culty.
A little less problematic.
Buckle the fuck in because this shit is absolutely wild.
I'm so fucking ready.
Wild. Per usual, I've got other suggestions. Check out The Deep End on Hulu or Freeform. That's the documentary that I watched that got me like needing to deep dive into this and be like, what the fuck is up with this bitch?
What's happening?
And then Gizmodo did a really long podcast called The Gateway, where they have actual interviews with Teal Swan herself.
Shit.
And it is like very intense. I haven't gotten through the whole thing, but it's very good. So those are my suggestions if you want more fuller content that's, you know,
dope nasty, brother.
A bit more.
Dope nasty.
Yes. So Teal Swan, born Mary Teal Bosworth, claims that she has always had extraworldly powers, being able to speak with people who had died, communicate with spirits, and sense energies. I also read later that she says that she can look into people's bodies and see if they have, like, diseases.
A classic.
She has, like, x-ray vision or something.
Superman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's Superman.
Don't they all, though?
Yeah,
really?
Exactly. She said that these powers made her vulnerable to abusers and made her a target. She says on her website, however, that the abuse she suffered made her a better healer. Quote, "Without the abuse and suffering I experienced, I would be someone who could give you a lot of esoteric information about the universe at large, but who would have no real grasp on the reality of human suffering or how to heal it. I would only have had one half of the human... I would have only had one half of the picture of human existence. The gift of my own suffering is that I now have the full picture, and that has drastically changed both what I teach and the way I teach." The way that I teach it.
Yeah. I don't really like, I mean, like, I'm glad that she's, like, taken her abuse in stride, you know? Like, that's good. But I don't like her being like, well, actually, it was a good thing.
Yeah, I'm better for it.
It's like, that's not, like, I don't know if that's, like, a healthy way to view abuse,
yeah,
you know?
I definitely don't think
but
so.
I don't know. I mean, good for her that she's, like, okay, like, she's doing better now. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, is she?
I mean, yeah.
Also,
we'll see.
We're about to get into some of the stories of this abuse, and it's very interesting.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So Teal Swan claims that at a young age she was targeted by a man she calls Doc. She says that Doc, along with a satanic cult, abused her physically and sexually for 13 years. Teal has made many wild claims about this man, Doc, and the alleged satanic cult that he was a part of. Claims including child sexual abuse, human sacrifice of immigrant children, and even cannibalism.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit, maybe a few tall tales being spun on the abuse.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very possible and in fact likely that she did have some kind of abuse in her past.
Definitely.
I'm almost
and
positive.
I believe so as well.
Yeah. But again, I mean, all of that seems a little.
And there's more. She has said that Doc was friends with a man who worked in a morgue and that he made her perform sex on a corpse while he ate a raw piece of the corpse's thigh. He then cut the corpse open, sewed Teal inside, and left her there for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I use the words allegedly and claimed when talking about these stories because Teal Swan has told a lot of stories. A lot.
Yeah.
She claims that she had been a model working in Paris and Milan, somehow during the same time that she was being held captive by the child-murdering satanic cult.
So just let her go be a model for a few months out of the year.
They're like, have fun.
They're like, make sure you're back by September. I need to sew you into a body real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. She also says that she's been in Playboy.
That seems like that's verifiably, you can verify that if that's true or not.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
And I assume that she's not been.
So while I do find it likely that Teal has experienced sexual assault, possibly even as a child, and possibly even from this doc.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no substantial evidence to back up any of the other claims that she's making. The rash of child murders that would have occurred in the time period she's claiming were never reported. Not even a missing child that matches that case.
Damn.
And the modeling that she did overseas, no photos were ever found, no agency ever tied to her name. And as for the Playboys, Teal Swan was never in Playboy.
Word. That's
you
what
can literally look and see.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they keep records of everybody.
There's an entire archive.
Yeah,
It's fucking Playboy.
It's Playboy. Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of like satanic panicky in a way, like child sacrifice. Like, was it around that time? Like
it absolutely
the 70s
was.
and 80s?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And let me tell you, because it's exactly tied to that.
Ooh.
Interestingly enough, I read across several sources that Teal Swan had received therapy in her childhood from Barbara Snow. Do you know of this person?
Oh, was she involved in the
She was.
Satanic Panic?
Was.
Okay. Then
I'm just curious if you had
I don't know
known her
any
name.
like specifics, but
Sure.
it sounds familiar.
So she's a child therapist, infamous for her involvement in the Satanic Panic in Utah in the 1980s and 90s. As a member of the Association of Mormon Counselors and Psychotherapists, lock that little detail away.
All right,
Mormon counselors and psychotherapists.
My favorite kind.
Yeah, the best kind. Snow was responsible for convincing a bunch of Utah children during the Satanic Panic that they had been abused by their parents or other adults in their life as part of satanic rituals. Yeah.
It's all making sense now.
It's all, the
It's
dots
all
are
coming
all
together.
connecting. Snow has a patented method for discovering whether a child has been sexually abused or not. And I'm just going to quote straight from her Wikipedia page since it lays it out pretty well. Quote, according to the study, the first stage, denial, this is so terrible. Okay. The first stage, denial, occurs when a child claims the abuse did not happen. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Oh, no.
yeah.
Right out of the gate, baby.
Disclosure is subdivided into two phases, tentative and active, which occurs when a child acknowledges the occurrence of abuse. Recant is a retraction of a prior disclosure. The final stage, reaffirm, is the final reassertion that the abuse did happen. So
Yeah. I remember one time I heard this thing. I think it was actually on Behind the Bastards during a Satanic Panic episode of some sort. But it was like part of like believing victims is also believing when they say that nothing happened.
right.
Like
exactly.
like being like,
Exactly.
okay, that's probably true.
And good.
Like that's great. I'm glad nothing happened to you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's
I know.
so bad.
Yeah, it's intense, and this plays a lot into Teal Swan's story. Yeah, I don't know about you, but this method sounds an awful lot like convincing these children they were sexually abused.
Yeah, leading questions and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, and as I said, pay attention to this method as it will come back later in Teal's story. So Teal Swan was obviously not born with the last name Swan, because fucking of course not. It was instead adopted from her second husband, Sarbdeep Swan, a man of Indian descent living in London. Despite the marriage only lasting about 2 years, Teal Swan has obviously still kept this surname and uses it to promote her phony spiritualism. 2 days after their wedding, Teal announced on her Facebook page that she would be taking Sarbdeep's last name. Quote, hello, all. Thank you so much for the beautiful wishes. I figured I'd explain how this name change is going to work. On a professional level, we are going to drop the last name altogether, because Teal is a standalone name like Oprah or Osho, etc. But I have officially changed my last name to Swan. There is deep spiritual significance to this decision. It is a more exalted name. Sarbdeep is from India, and there the swan has great spiritual significance. Teachers who have the ability to fly between the realms of matter and spirit are given the title Paramahamsa, which means Supreme Swan. So there it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems like seems like a like an overcomplicated explanation for like.
I mean,
I got married.
Yeah, like just be like, hey, my
know.
husband's last name is Swan.
Yeah, like
so now that's mine.
I don't know.
Like,
you're
cool.
like, I wanted to take his last name.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. Like, no shade.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. This type of move from a white spiritualist type is classic, adopting bits and pieces from Indian culture that fit their brand and throwing out the rest, especially the people themselves. And that's exactly what Teal did. On a now deleted blog written by Sarbdeep, he released private details about their tumultuous relationship. The only surviving paragraph I could find was from an article on Wiki Global, and on this blog he called her Black Swan. Quote, yeah, I know, huh? That's like, that's snappy.
Yeah.
Quote, our marriage did not unravel after 2 weeks due to incompatibility or my emotional unavailability, but because I saw an email Black Swan had sent to her ex just 2 weeks into our marriage, talking about the sex she had with him and flirting with him. An ex she also vilified as a sociopath months before on her blog.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would do it.
Yeah, that would break up a marriage for sure.
An interesting podcast, if you ever get the chance to, you or listener. There's this podcast called Astray, and it talks about the idea of like, I think the term is called like Indian fever or something like that. But it's basically just like that, like a deep dive into that whole idea of like white people going over to India and like having like this insane spiritual
awakening, right?
And just how it's like kind of racist, and people say, and people using that term a lot of times are being kind of racist because it's like there's nothing like about it other than like people just get lost in the sauce, really.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so that's a very interesting podcast you should check out.
I will. Sounds amazing. Kind of as you were saying, something that we see from these white spiritualists, healers, light workers, etc., is that they choose bits and pieces from Indian culture and smash it into their mix of self-help quotes, charisma, and narcissism.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Take yoga as a huge example. How many famous white yoga teachers do you see wearing kurtas and doing ohms? And how many of these light workers do you see throwing around the term namaste and wearing, prayer beads, but never crediting Indian culture or like actually following all of the teachings?
Which in my eyes is like the worst form of like cultural appropriation, when you're like profiting off of another culture.
No, exactly. That's because, exactly it.
Yeah.
And people, literally, Teal Swan said it herself. The last name Swan is a more exalted name. It's a more spiritual name in India. So let me use this name to promote my shit so I sound more legit.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Teal Swan is no stranger to appropriating Indian culture and co-opting phrases and aesthetics to try and make herself appear more legit. So here's according to Teal Swan's website. Quote, Teal Swan's mission is the transformation of human suffering to an empowered and authentic life. She is the creator of the popular Ask Teal YouTube series, author of 6 internationally published books, and the artist of hundreds of frequency paintings. Don't worry, we will totally post a picture of the frequency paintings.
I want to know more about the frequency paintings.
Yeah, it's just like drug art,
Okay.
It's not that cool, but I guess it makes you fucking experience different frequencies. I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
Continuing this quote. In conjunction with her vision of creating positive world change, Teal Swan founded Headway Foundation, a nonprofit company that enables ideas, goals, and ventures that are aimed at positive world change. Teal Swan is not recommended for those who simply want to feel good. She is recommended for those who want the truth, even if the truth hurts. The reality is impartial. It isn't personal. It simply shows you what is so. She will reflect things about humanity, the world, and the universe that humanity perceives to be positive. But she will also reflect things about humanity, the world, and the universe that humanity does not want to accept, own, or integrate. When a person decides they are ready to see the truth and to see reality, Teal Swan is able to reflect the physical and non-physical reality of any given situation. By facing the truth and facing reality, They are then empowered to take mental, emotional, and physical steps towards improvement based on the new awareness that they gained. Teal Swan's deepest intention is to set people free. Her mission is to make people aware and conscious so that with that awareness, they can begin to heal and live deeply meaningful, integrated, and empowered lives. Okay.
I have this real big problem when people start when someone like reads a bio of like a spiritual ass like off like a spiritual ass website.
Yeah.
Like I hear all the words, but I just do not process anything that they're saying
because half of it's nothing.
It's because it's all the same like dumb buzzwords that literally mean nothing. So my brain is just like we're gonna ignore that.
Tunes it out. Yeah,
it's like don't try to fucking say that shit to me. Like,
which like first of all, you know that she fucking wrote this whole bio herself. She writes it from like a third person, but it's like you wrote this about yourself.
Oh, for sure. I've written bios about myself before, but like I don't know. I don't write fucking 2 paragraphs of nothing about it. Like
it's just very self-aggrandizing, I suppose.
Of course.
Yeah, and I mean it's a lot of basically she's saying, "Oh, I can change your life, but it's going to be really hard work and it's not pretty and blah blah blah.
I'll show you things that humanity doesn't want to accept."
Exactly.
Which is like, I guess, like what things are you showing?
Yeah,
like
anyway,
I don't know, and it just sounds like more
kind
of spiritual.
It's the same as every single fucking type of spiritualist person that you'll find. They all talk like this. She is nothing special.
Yeah, for sure.
And let's get that out there just flat and whatever, Teal.
These people are frauds.
You're not special and you're a fraud and you're also a horrible person.
Yeah.
Anywho, so.
You know who's not a horrible person?
Anchor Distributed.
Anchor Podcast, which is not a cult.
No.
And if it was,
in fact,
it'd be a cool one.
Yes. And it wouldn't be our fault because we did not know.
Exactly. I love a good plausible deniability.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's Cold Month Ads.
We're back.
Oh boy, are we. We're so
Holy
back.
Fucking we're back.
Baby got back.
Indeed. Does she ever?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like if the baby is remarks and the back is us being back from ad break, then boy does she.
Oh wow, that was beautifully
Thank you.
said.
I am a writer.
Oh god. Alrighty. Let's get into this fucking
More cults.
More cults. So, Teal Swan gained most of her popularity from her YouTube series. Taylor, YouTube. Your favorite thing.
I love that. I love everything about it.
From her YouTube series Ask Teal, a series in which she delves into her practices and beliefs. She's released several books, her most well-known being The Completion Process. The Completion Process is a 20-step process for healing any past hurt or present problem. Part of the completion process is talked about as being a smashing a part of yourself and taking out the broken parts that prevent you from really being whole. Something that I saw a comment that somebody said that was like, this completion process is kind of ironically named because it really doesn't seem to have any kind of completion at all. It seems to be like this like never-ending ongoing thing. Curious. It's almost like she needs you to continue coming back to her.
I mean, it gives me the same vibes as like when I was growing up in church, they would say like sanctification a lot, which is like the idea that you're like slowly like purging the sin from your life, but you never like reach that point, so that you have to keep going to church and giving them money all the time, you know? Yeah, like you're of course always working on yourself.
Well, of course.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
This one's a little more culty, but I mean, aren't all religions a cult?
Yes, they are. In the freeform documentary The Deep End, director John Casby followed Teal Swan and her team for 3 years, documenting her seminars, Costa Rican retreats, and emotional outbursts. You quickly meet Blake, Teal's right-hand man, and someone she describes as the person who made her feel safe for the first time in her life and who taught her how to trust.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for Blake.
Good luck, Blake, really.
Good luck, Blake.
Teal moved in with Blake at 19 after escaping the alleged abuse she experienced. Her and Blake had a romantic relationship for a year, and following that continued on with an extremely intense relationship where Blake seemed to serve as a type of servant and caretaker for Teal. He literally lived with her through all, 5 now, I think, marriages that she's had. So, very interesting.
Very interesting dynamic, for sure.
Yeah.
Emotional support XBF.
Exactly. Yes, that's Blake.
So true.
Oh my god. In the documentary, you see Blake managing her business, Teal Eye, answering emails from concerned critics of Teal, coloring Teal's hair with henna, and being an emotional levy for Teal's frequent and intense emotional outbursts. It's clear that Blake is very much under the spell of Teal Swan, following her every move, justifying her every action, and cleaning up after her messes, sometimes literally.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Poor
Also,
Blake.
Did I hear 5 marriages?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I believe it's been 5, yeah.
That's a lot of times to get married.
She does have a child with one of them, and you hear maybe 1 to 2 things about the child in the documentary the whole time.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And you see the kid jumping on a trampoline in one scene, and that's literally the only interaction that she has with her actual child.
Yeah.
So,
good.
And I don't know, and it's a documentary about her. It's not a documentary about her kid.
Of course.
But it really seems like she has one focus in her life, and that is scamming and torturing people. So,
and not her kid.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because if it was about her and she spent remotely,
she's a mother.
Yeah, any moment or any time with her child, then wouldn't that be included in
I suppose that's
in the
true.
3 years of filming they did?
Yikes.
Yikes.
Oh, man. So Teal's inner circle is a group of yes men who manage Teal's business, assist her retreats and seminars, and who are essentially required to dedicate their entire lives to Teal. Teal even has her inner circle sign a contract of non-negotiables, rules that the inner circle must follow in order to remain as part of the inner circle, some of which include: you can't put your own family first. Teal comes first. If Teal wants you there, she gets you. The priority of the entire community is whatever is in the best interest of Teal. You can't have personal boundaries that in any way can affect Teal.
Huh. Okay, yeah. That's good.
Sounds very normal,
Sounds
healthy.
Very healthy, very good for both parties. Mentally, I feel like they're all probably doing great.
Definitely.
Yeah, those are some rules for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's what's interesting is she's not shy about this. Mm-hmm. She discusses it openly while she knows she's being filmed. She thinks that this is completely acceptable.
Yeah.
Again, watch the documentary. It's fascinating to see this woman just have no shame in what she does.
Crazy.
Yeah. So what needs to be understood is that these people, Teal's inner circle, as well as her followers, are extremely vulnerable people. She preys upon mentally unstable people, particularly those that are suicidal, and teaches them to associate her torture-like ceremonies with healing. She claims that she is so powerful that just proximity to her will make you heal. She convinces you that everyone outside of the Teal Swan world is against you and has hurt you even if you don't remember it. Sound familiar? Remind you of Scientology, Synanon, Mormonism, every cult
cult that we've talked about.
Yeah.
I like how she's doing a Jesus there. She's like, even if you're close to me, if you brush my robe, then you'll get healed. She's like, I'm
if I spit on my hands and rub them in your eyes, you will be able to see
again. Yeah. I was just thinking about this. I feel like you should never, if somebody calls something that you're going to attend a seminar, you should, 90% of the time, you should not go to that thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Don't go to things called seminars, is what I'm saying. Meetings are fine. I don't know, what are other terms? Powwows.
Sure.
Shindigs.
Brainstorming session.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, anything or like lecture.
A lecture.
Lecture is totally normal.
Yeah.
Seminar.
If it's a seminar, I'd proceed with caution.
Absolutely.
They seem to all call their shit seminars.
Yeah, and I just feel like I've seen a lot of negative things come out of the term seminar.
Seminar, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't trust it. Maybe
No.
you shouldn't either.
So obviously these kind of rules and not allowing people to literally not have personal boundaries. This is such textbook cult behavior. It's almost comical how willing she is to just do these things on camera and openly admit that this is what she's doing and say it with the smuggest fucking look on her face, like I'm the smartest person on earth.
It's because it's like literally like it's your rules. Your rules are like almost like copy and pasted from like what makes a cult.
Exactly.
Like, it's weird.
Yeah. In one particularly chilling scene in the Deep End documentary, you see Teal act out the Barbara Snow child abuse method in real time. Teal holds a ceremony of sorts where she has 3 followers channel the mother, father, and brother of another follower. So there's one person who's kind of receiving the ceremony, and then there's 3 people playing out their family, right?
Okay, yeah.
This person's family is still alive, by the way. As far as what I gleaned from the show, I'm pretty sure that so they're not like channeling a spirit. They're like channeling. I don't even fucking know. Whatever. None of it's real, but okay. These 3 followers act out the family's life and then report back their findings. And you're sitting in a room. This person is sitting, and they're all like you're watching. Yeah. It's so crazy what you witness. It's fascinating. My biggest takeaway from all of this was that the person playing the brother said that they experienced inappropriate touches. The follower receiving this ceremony lightly interjects that this was not something that they were ever aware of and had never even suspected. The followers acting out the family insist that there were inappropriate touches in the family.
Ooh.
Yeah. In another scene, you see Teal telling a follower, "Your parents don't love you."
Oh, God.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
And in yet another scene, you see an interview with another follower who says something akin to, "Teal told me my parents sexually abused me. I didn't think my parents had ever abused me, but Teal told me they did, so they must have."
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So she's literally doing a Barbara Snow.
Yeah, and not only is she doing a Barbara Snow, but she's like doing it to where like, well, now you can't go anywhere because you have abusive parents. Oh, your parents don't love you, so like now you are for lack of a better word, you're trapped in the cult, right? Because you literally have nowhere else to go now.
Exactly,
because you think that your parents don't love you or that they abused you.
You're not, and you can't return to an abusive family. Exactly, dude.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. Over and over, we see Teal implanting memories in people's heads, typically of sexual assault from their very own parents. This is obviously an extremely serious accusation, and watching Teal throw this idea at almost every one of her followers is terrifying and speaks to her methods for creating trauma bonds with her followers, like you were just saying. It's like they live in this echo chamber of, oh shit, we were all sexually assaulted by our parents. I can't return to my family now. Well, I have this new family who has this same exact experience. Right.
And like, man, I don't know. Just the way that people like get so like roped into cults is so sad because like you think that eventually you'd be like, so all of us,
right.
So every one of us had this happen to them,
right?
Huh?
And it is interesting because for everything I am saying about this woman, I'm able to watch it from a lens of already assuming she's a cult leader.
Yeah,
she is extraordinarily charismatic. She is extraordinarily like intense with the way that she speaks to you. She makes you feel so fucking special, especially if you're extremely mentally unstable and suicidal, or even if you have actually experienced sexual assault before. She makes you feel like you finally have somebody who understands you or whatever. It's very easy. She is good at what she does, which is why she is so scary. One of the most chilling pieces of the documentary is Teal's relationship with the follower Sabrina. Sabrina is introduced at one of these Costa Rican retreats, and she is angry. Sabrina says that Teal told her that Teal would heal her and solve all her problems and make her live a better life. And Sabrina says that this has not been the case. Life has only been getting worse for Sabrina. She just kept going down a darker and darker path. She was suicidal all the time. And then Sabrina voices something that perked my ears. She says that she feels like the time in between workshops is just her waiting for another workshop so she can feel better. Cult red flag.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah, this red flag is so bright it is burning my eyes. The idea that
retinas are fried
literally
from
I
the redness
cannot see anymore.
of this flag. Yeah.
The idea that you're just kind of living from one workshop to another, or from one like cult experience to the next one, because she's doing cult things. She's creating these high emotional situations. She is revealing these secrets about your life. You know, you have this like exalting experience, and then you leave and you go back to real life and you realize it sucks, or you know, sucks compared to that thing, or it's not as emotionally whatever as that. And then you're just, well, let me make money so I can go to the next one and feel something again.
I mean, yeah, and it's wild because, and not to bring it back to like, I guess my own experiences all the time, but I feel like it's like, because it's the same thing that like I know these fucking like churches do, the ones that like I grew up in, so like evangelical churches where they have like the rock band, and it's almost like a concert, you know, and then you like listen to this message, you see all of these like nice people. And then so you leave and you're like, wow, like that was such an emotional experience. Yeah. And you feel like really good about it. And then normal life doesn't feel that good. So you can't wait to go back again and again and again. And it's like that, but this is even more like, because I'm sure she like very much makes it like this very intense emotional experience. So
well, and you leave with these like open wounds. Yeah. And then, you got to go back to like get your next hit so that you feel... I mean, it's like a drug, you know, you have this, you get that hit, and then you go back to, you're not on the drug anymore and you're having withdrawals from this drug. So then you have to go back to like fill whatever. Yeah. I'm sure that there is like dopamine and things that are involved. Absolutely. Like brain drugs. Right. Yeah. So I'm sure it is that in a way. Yeah. So Sabrina, it's clear that Sabrina is angry with Teal herself, and Teal knows this. She has a one-on-one meeting with Sabrina where Teal gets extremely upset that Sabrina is questioning her teachings. She says that this process is supposed to hurt, that it's not easy, your life won't be fixed overnight, that it requires hard and painful work, and that if your life is not improving from Teal's teachings, then this is your fault. Teal insists that Sabrina must continue doing difficult, emotionally exhausting ceremonies, and this leads to Sabrina locking herself in her room and saying that she is ready to kill herself. A new Inner Circle member, Juliana, who I will introduce in a moment, suggests that they get Sabrina some real help. This enrages Teal, and the on-screen unraveling you see of this person is terrifying. She begins a smear campaign against Juliana, and then, in one of the most horrifying scenes in this documentary, performs a water breath ceremony on the dangerously suicidal Sabrina. This is horrible. In this ceremony, Teal is repeatedly pushing Sabrina under the water, not allowing her to catch her breath when she comes to the surface, and then pushing her under again. She is essentially waterboarding this woman, like literally.
Jesus Christ.
Half drowning her. Yeah. And when the ceremony is finally over, you see Teal holding Sabrina afloat in the pool. Sabrina looks at her and says, "I love you."
Oh, God.
It is chilling.
Jesus Christ.
Chilling.
Yeah, that's fucking gnarly.
Yeah. What I had just witnessed was actual torture from an enraged cult leader. She wanted to make Sabrina feel as though she was going to die. She actually broke this poor young woman's brain and made her associate a near murder experience with love for Teal herself. This is how fucking crazy this woman is, and this is how good this woman is. I can't like...
And it's just like all this programming of like, it's, you know, this is going to be painful, and it literally is. It's almost torture. Yeah. But of course you feel good once the torture is not happening. Exactly. So you're like, oh my gosh, like you helped me.
Whatever, you made me not die by choosing to not kill me. While you were actively trying to kill me. God. And as you're like literally being deprived of oxygen and being fucking waterboarded, your brain is like releasing these things. It's, oh my God.
It's fucking awful.
And
though.
maybe, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to insert anything, but maybe fucking Teal is crazy, so maybe she will find this and to have something to say. Whatever. I don't really care. She's a torturer. She's a torturer and an abusive person. She's a bad person.
Come on our podcast and we'll just fight you. Like we'll
God.
Phoebe will actually just go toe to toe right now.
Oh God. So Teal's teachings around suicide have been extremely controversial. In the first episode of the this is also very bad. This whole thing is very bad.
Yeah.
I don't need to keep saying that. In the first episode of the documentary, you see a woman come on stage with Teal and share how suicidal she is. Teal responds, "Then why are you still here?"
Jesus Christ.
It gets so much worse. The woman says, "I don't know." Teal tells this woman to really think about it, to really take herself to this place, to literally visualize her own suicide, and then make a decision. This visualization process is one that you can find in Teal's YouTube video called "I Want to Kill Myself, parentheses, what to do if you're suicidal."
That seems like not the right solution.
Yeah. I'm actually getting like very angry as I'm talking about this. A video where you can also see Teal describe suicide as, quote, "our safety net or our reset button that's always available to us."
Oh, yeah.
That's a safe thing to tell people that
course.
literally want to kill
button.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, as if you can come back from
Yeah.
that. She tells the watcher to lay down. I fucking hate this woman.
Yeah.
She tells the teacher to lay down on the floor and imagine their deaths in grisly detail. According to actual licensed psychologists who are real doctors and know what's actually, going on with the human brain, this practice is extremely dangerous. Shocker.
Yeah. Crazy.
I gotta breathe a little.
The people who are, idolizing, what is it, suicidal idealization or whatever, having them imagine killing themselves is not good.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Wild. Dr. Jonathan Singer, the president of the American Association of Suicidology, tells BBC, quote, "When I heard Teal say that suicide can be a reset button, I was disturbed. It suggests that you can kill yourself and that things will start over again and be better. And that is not true. She's got these ideas in her mind that in her mind are only helpful, but for others could be really dangerous. What you're doing when you tell somebody to visualize how they're going to kill themselves is you're telling them to practice in your mind." He explains that research shows this type of imagery rehearsal is a very effective way of improving your ability to actually do something. He says that it's something that Olympic level athletes use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like why I feel like whenever there's like suicide like content or like stories and things or like, images, like that's why there's like content warnings, is because like if you or someone is suicidal, like don't show that to them or don't watch this because it's bad, like Jesus Christ, man.
I know. He says, and so to tell somebody to think through how they're going to kill themselves, that's not safe.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Flynn, the CEO of the UK suicide prevention charity Papyrus, tells BBC, quote, "It is not helpful in any circumstances to encourage anyone who has thoughts of suicide to imagine their being dead and to further glorify that issue, or further glorify that state. Mm-hmm. This exercise can only lead to the risk of harm and even death. Such exercises are irresponsible. She is risking the glorification of suicide." Period.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Do we know if any of her? Are you gonna get to that?
Funny you should ask, because here it is.
Lovely.
And the answer is yes, they have. If you're asking the question, I believe that you were going to ask.
I was.
Yeah. Teal Swan has lost followers to suicide before. In this same BBC article, and this is really rough. We'll go back and put a warning at the beginning of this episode. Realized I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But just before I get into this story in particular, this is a lot. So just know that we're about to get into some very rough things.
Yeah.
So in this same BBC article, Sarah, the mother of 18-year-old Casey, who died by suicide, stricken with grief, Sarah began searching for any answers she could possibly find. She logged into Casey's computer and discovered that she was part of a Facebook group called Teal Tribe. This group was a place for followers of Teal Swan to interact and communicate about their favorite person, Teal. Casey had posted a colored pencil drawing of Teal Swan, a beautiful piece of artwork as Casey had been an incredibly talented artist, and wrote the caption, "This gorgeous woman is Teal Swan, a beloved, spectacular, spiritual guru." In this group, Sarah also found a post from her daughter saying that she had attempted to take her own life. Sorry, I'm getting very emotional.
It's okay.
There were only 2 comments on this post, and both of them were links to Teal's video, the one called "I Want to Kill Myself, What to Do If You're Suicidal." One of these comments was from the moderator of the fucking group.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough.
Sarah was, of course, furious. Sarah felt that instead of posting a video with very controversial advice in response to a person talking about a suicide attempt, that perhaps these members, particularly the moderator, could have tried to reach out to Casey's family. Quote, "What a huge missed opportunity and incredible mistake," Sarah says. "While I believe that there was more than one undercurrent happening in the life of our daughter, you would have to convince me otherwise that Teal's teachings did not play a significant role in the mind of our daughter when she took her life. It was almost like a rehearsal," Sarah says about the visualization advice in the video.
Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. There was another follower that Teal Swan had who died by suicide. This was like a very close client of Teal Swan's, and Teal Swan gave her basically the same advice that she's giving in her video. She literally told this woman, Leslie, she was a belly dancer in Salt Lake City, that she needed to either commit or get out, basically.
Oh, geez.
So that was essentially the words that she used for her.
That's crazy.
And this woman ended up dying by suicide. So,
Yeah, and from the sound of like the other teachings and everything that she like supposedly, supports, and like this weird like constantly like breaking yourself apart, like it seems like even just in general the rest of her teachings seem to be stressful and don't seem like they would help anybody in that situation either.
Yeah, like none of this does actually seem to be very healing. It all kind of sounds like you begin a difficult therapy session, and then when you're like laying on the floor crying, your therapist is like, "Okay, bye."
Later.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yikes.
So when Teal Swan was approached by the author of this BBC article about her members that had died by suicide, she says, "I was not aware of them." And then she gets visibly angry, saying that she's the reason why more people hadn't killed themselves. She says, "If you look at the demographic of people who are interested in my type of material, you're working with an unstable group of people. To suggest I am responsible for suicide and people who came to me suicidal, that's pretty insane."
Do you ever think there's a reason why your material is sought after by people who are like unstable? If like you said it, like I don't know.
And I mean, us saying this, she believes that she has some like fucking higher, she believes she has all the answers basically. But it's like, if you don't touch this shit, if you are not like a licensed professional who knows how to work with suicidal ideation, do not fucking touch this shit.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm pissed off.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
She's such a bad person.
A terrible person.
Yeah. So, let's touch back on Juliana, the woman that I was talking about earlier, the new inner circle member who stood up to Teal and faced the consequences. Juliana was a follower of Teal who had attended a workshop, and at this workshop met Blake, Teal's most coveted inner circle member, and the person she relies on the most. Blake and Juliana began to form a romantic relationship, one that occurs when Blake, most likely crossing a line, gives Juliana a private massage at one of these retreats. This, however, is not about the dynamic of Blake and Juliana's relationship. And honestly, from what I saw, it was a documentary, so
yeah.
But they did actually seem really great together. But that's being said from seeing it on the surface.
Teal had some issues with this.
Oh boy, did she?
Yeah.
Blake and Juliana began a long-distance relationship, with Blake living at the Teal compound in Park City, Utah, and Juliana living in her hometown in Germany. In the documentary, we see Blake and Juliana decide that it's time for Juliana to move to America and join Blake in Park City. Blake proposes this idea to Teal, who acts happy for him, but warns him that Juliana will have to adapt to and adopt the lifestyle of the inner circle. Teal is clearly wary about someone new joining the inner circle and someone else taking Blake's attention away from herself. And in a scene where Blake is telling Teal of his intentions to marry Juliana, Teal seems excited, but then asks Blake, "Does she know you're in love with me?"
Weird.
It's very weird.
And then does she like proceed to convince him that he is in fact in love with her?
I mean, I think that's like what she's been doing for their entire relationship.
Just their whole relationship, yeah, and like sabotaging any chance Blake has at happiness.
Yeah, and then of course now that he
God.
has like this woman who actually like seems to truly care for him.
Cares about him, yeah.
Yeah. So after Juliana's induction, Teal seems excited by Juliana. She welcomes her under her wing and promptly begins training her in the odd ceremonies that occur at these retreats.
Mm-hmm.
In one scene, we see Teal channel the dead mother of one of her followers through Juliana. It's an emotional scene where Amir, who cannot let go of his mother's death and maybe even blames himself, is told by his mother through Juliana that it's okay to let go, that she's no longer in pain, and that it's not Amir's fault. Amir sobs and seems to take something somewhat positive from this experience, and Teal is thrilled to see that Juliana will play along with her games. And I wanted to highlight this scene because this is a great example of how Juliana, one of the most grounded people that you'll see in this documentary, and one of the only people willing to actually stand up to Teal, can still get completely engulfed in Teal's bullshit. So whether Juliana truly believed that she was channeling someone's dead mother, or if she simply understood the importance of complying with Teal's requests, no matter how intense, it's clear that Juliana is all in.
Yeah, she's game for the scamming.
Yeah, or she's at least like she understands like the gravity of the situation.
She's like complacent in one way or another. For sure.
So you first begin to see the rift between Teal and Juliana when Juliana mentions the importance of her family in Germany and her need to travel back to Germany frequently to visit. Teal shuts this down quickly. She tells Juliana that there is absolutely no time for personal travel when you are part of the inner circle, that you must always be available to Teal, and that the only way Juliana may be able to see her family is if the entire group travels to Germany for a Teal workshop. Juliana's reaction to this is visible hurt and fear. Again, classic cults, taking you away from your family.
Very isolating. Love that shit.
Things really begin to fall apart when Sabrina enters the picture. Sabrina was the woman I told you about earlier who questioned Teal, promised suicide, and was then waterboarded as torture for questioning Teal. When Sabrina locks herself in her room talking about her intense suicidal ideation, Juliana speaks with her and attempts to comfort her. Juliana then reports back to Teal about the terrible state that Sabrina is in. Juliana expresses concern that if she continues the workshop, she truly may not make it out alive. Teal is visibly angered by Juliana's questioning of her methods. She says that Sabrina absolutely must continue with the workshop if she wants to heal. And then Juliana says something that severs the last tie between her and Teal. Well, we can't force her.
Oh, no.
This comment leads to an intervention of sorts being held against Juliana, where Teal repeatedly attacks her character in front of the entire inner circle, inserting what Teal believes Juliana thinks of her, saying that Juliana has a smirk on her face. Teal calls Juliana an adversary, to which Juliana responds in her sweet German accent, "What means that word?" And another follower responds, "Enemy."
Yeah.
This is another extremely chilling scene in this documentary. Teal says that she can see in Juliana's energy field that she is questioning Teal, that she thinks Teal is unhealthy, that Juliana keeps insulting her, to which Juliana responds, "Where?" Juliana says she is afraid, and Teal responds, "You should be."
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yikes, yeah.
Yeah.
Such a fucking power trip, I feel like. Yeah.
Oh, my God, yes. So Teal then guides the whole group, asking each person to say what they think Juliana thinks of Teal.
Okay, that's a weird fucking question.
It is so... And again, watching this, you see how every single person is, like, bought into this. Either they fully, truly believe that, like, this is the truth, or they understand, like...
what they have to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's answers are negative. Somebody says plenty of people say that Juliana's jealous of Teal, that she thinks Teal is a bad person, that Teal uses her sexuality against people, just all of these things, which I'm like, is this what you guys think?
Yeah, I was like,
Secretly
are you projecting much? Like, geez.
Blake sits next to Teal and silently watches this all unfold until towards the end he questions what the meaning of this whole
exercise was.
Yeah, and then goes to sit next to Juliana, which in Teal's mind is him completely going against her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blake, Teal's most trusted inner circle member, her favorite person, the one who keeps everything glued together for Teal, is removed from the group in a quick and painful meeting. And this is, oh God. So Teal says, quote, "I think you're weak. That's my honest truth. I think you lack bravery. I think you lack honor. But you've made your bed and now you lie in it. He who chooses a weak path does not become a match to greatness. You're a fucking absolute loser. Always will be. Never forget those words."
Jesus Christ, man. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, she is fucking
It is
pissed. Yeah.
Fast. She flips so fucking fast. You'd say one thing that even slightly like contradicts her or perhaps suggests that she could try something different, it's over.
Damn.
This is she moved in with Blake when she was 19. I think she's like 30 something. So like 10 plus years relationship. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Blake releases a message on the Teal Tribe Facebook group stating that he's stepping away from the business. Many comments are positive, congratulating him on his new life and his journey with his wife. Teal, reading these same comments, responds, "If they really knew what had happened here, they'd be wanting her dead."
Jesus Christ.
And again, she says this openly, knowing that she is being filmed for a documentary that will be aired.
Also, like,
this is how intensely she, like...
Is it Juliana, right?
Juliana, yes.
It's like, if they knew what actually happened, it's like, nothing fucking happened.
Yeah.
Like,
literally, Juliana was like, "Hey, this girl, like, is gonna kill herself.
We should go to the
maybe,
hospital.
Like, do something." And she's like, "You evil."
If they knew what
she
actually
married
happened.
this dude that she was, like, in love with. That's, like, all she did wrong, quote unquote.
Fucking weird, whatever.
Oh, my God. Yeah. In the final, most revealing action from Teal and the piece that is just... if you were even slightly questioning, perhaps, is this a cult, this will really solidify it for you. She writes up a new contract for her inner circle, and here's some of the most intense pieces of this new contract. 1, the members of the inner circle must hold their partner accountable to abide by Teal's rules. 2, non-negotiables are non-negotiable, including for partners. Everyone must follow every rule set by Teal. And 3, no children. Teal does not have time to be awoken at 3 a.m. by a screaming baby. She brings up that, and it actually was one of her other followers who says, "Should we talk about children?" And Teal says, "Yep, I can't afford to be woken up by a screaming baby at 3 a.m. Everyone looks around, says, "We're okay with not having children," writes up and signs a contract saying, "We're not allowed to have children." And essentially, this contract is so tight, it's almost saying you're not allowed to have a partner because, she says you can't let your partner get in the way of what this is. Your partner has to abide by every single piece of this and not question me, and the boundaries that you and your partner have cannot.
You can almost only date other people in the inner circle, I guess, that were like also all in on it,
Exactly. Yeah. Teal Swan is an evil, narcissistic, torturing cult leader who will continue to cause damage in this world if she is not put to a stop.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that with this documentary being released and then the many subsequent articles coming out afterwards, that there's been a slowing down.
Be some exposés, and people are going to be like, maybe don't go to these fucking seminars.
I think that, like, the people who are already all in, it will probably just solidify them into it further. That's usually how these things work, which is extremely unfortunate because those people are at an extreme risk, and I want to really highlight that. But I think for people teetering on the edge, or people who maybe have come across her videos and are starting to kind of fall into it, that all these podcasts and documentaries and things coming out about her, exposing her for who she is, will hopefully... help people not fall under her spell.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Finn.
All right. Well, you know what else No, there's not an ad. We're going to take a little break here because that was a lot, I'm sure. So,
yes.
Listener, why don't you pause as well and drink some water?
Yeah.
Take some deep breaths.
Mm-hmm. Step outside.
Yeah. Touch some grass.
Touch some grass.
Yeah.
Pet your dog if you have one. I don't know.
Yeah. Do some nice things for a sec, but we will be right back.
Yeah. Anyway, cold month.
Cold month. All right, we are back from our little morale break.
Yeah. Which I guess there's not actually like a break in the show, but you know, I hope you paused.
Yeah, take a little pause.
Took a moment to recover from horrible colds.
Yeah, I mean,
and get ready for whole month of this, baby.
It's our favorite month. Despair all the time. So mine won't quite be as gnarly as that, but pretty dangerous nonetheless. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be talking about Esther and Jerry and Abraham Hicks, who a lot of people, when I've brought this up, have said like, oh yeah, my fucking sister's aunt's cousin's fucking dog read a book of hers or whatever.
Right, yeah. I've heard it from like third parties, but I don't know
exactly
much about it.
People have, and she does the kind of the same thing. Like she has YouTube videos of like her lectures on that are up. Like I listened to a couple of those. A big shout out for one of my sources would be there's a YouTube video by the Internet Investigator that does kind of an expose of sorts of her as well. So that's kind of how it got on my radar, and then I kind of did some digging myself.
Sweet.
So yeah, check that out if you want. But jumping into it, similarly to yours, Esther Weaver was born in Colville, Utah on March 5th.
Fucking way.
1948.
God damn it, this place. This
God
is what I'm
fucking
saying,
damn it,
bro.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's like 57% of the time, 75% of the time, cult leader, and it's like, and they're in Utah.
And they're
like,
from Utah, or they're
of course.
somehow associated with Utah. Yeah. So yeah, she was born March 5th, 1948. She was married once in 1968. So yeah, she was 20 and had 2 daughters from her first marriage, one of which works with her mother in the scammy cult business. Not too much info about her daughter, though. Esther would meet Jerry Hicks in 1976 when she began working for Jerry's wife and soon-to-be ex-wife. Esther and Jerry would be married just 4 years later. From what I can gather, there is about a 21-year age difference between Esther and Jerry. Jerry being pretty fucking old. Mm-hmm. And then it is, of course, believed that Jerry and Esther had began their relationship before Jerry was divorced.
Yep.
This part truly has nothing to do with the story, but I found a write-up on this super reliable source website called thelawofattractionclub.com. And it just had this like really funny quote about Jerry's early life. It says, from early childhood, Jerry Hicks had been a strong seeker of truth. In the late 50s, while visiting friends in Spokane, Washington, Jerry discovered a Ouija board. Initially a strong disbeliever, he came to accept that something real, air quotes, was happening. Mm-hmm. One session with the board directed Jerry to read books by Albert Schweitzer, the Nobel Prize-winning philosopher, musician, and Christian missionary. Jerry bought his own Ouija board, and although it never worked for him personally, he found 3 people that could receive messages through the board. These messages, however, were more like party conversation than the feel of his first experience. So he eventually discarded the board. In 1965, on impulse, he picked up a book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. As he started to read it, the goosebumps came up all over him. He decided to follow the teachings. In a short time, he became a successful businessman and even began teaching the principles in the book. So it's like, why even have the whole anecdote about the Ouija board? Like, it didn't even make any sense.
It's like, oh, he played with the Ouija board, but, like, it didn't really do anything. And then here's the real
And then he read some books. Like, it's so fucking weird, dude.
Oh, my God.
I had no fucking idea why they put that in there, but it was too funny to not talk about.
Yeah.
Information about the early life of Esther and Jerry is kept under pretty tight wraps. Like, it's hard to come by a lot of information about them. And that's where I was kind of telling Phoebe while we were on break, that's where it's a little bit different. I feel like Esther and Jerry would not let a documentary be made about them because they know that they're fucking scam artists.
Right.
But yeah, so and a lot of the things that I did find, I wouldn't necessarily say are reliable sources on the matter, but we're just going with what we have.
Sure.
Jerry was, in fact, a top distributor for the lovely folks at Amway. See our video about scams.
Yep.
When Esther and him met, and apparently was at one time as well an acrobat star.
Oh, okay.
Again.
It's interesting. Yeah, he's like getting into the scamming on like, you know, on an early level. He's like, this Amway thing's
this
really
Amway
interesting.
thing's real interesting. Yeah. Legend has it, and I say legend because it is possible this is all fake.
Sure.
That Jerry began reading the books and teachings of a lady named Jane Roberts, who claimed to be able to channel a spirit that went by the name Seth. And it was maybe not necessarily a spirit, but like a consciousness of sorts, you know? At first, Esther was not down with the idea of channeling and spirits because she was raised to believe that such things were evil and despicable in the eyes of the Almighty. Though, like spilt water slowly seeping into the fibers of a paper towel, so did Jerry's way of thinking spread onto Esther.
Mwah,
Thank you.
sentence.
Thank you. I thought you'd like that one. They began meditating daily until one day this happened. And this is also from the Law of Attraction Club. Meditation became a daily exercise for them both. After about 9 months, in November 1985, Esther noticed that her head was moving around during these sessions. It was relaxed and pleasant. Then one day, she realized that the movement was her nose was riding in the air. It's written weird. She announced it to Jerry and immediately got waves of goosebumps, a feeling of intense pleasure. Then her nose spelled out. So like her head is moving and her nose is like she's writing as her as if her nose is a pen.
Okay,
kind of.
got it.
And her nose spelled out, "I am Abraham. I am your spiritual guide. I love you.
Whoa.
I am here to work with you." Jerry got his notebook. Is like the last part of that.
That's a lot to, because I feel like, I mean, if you're looking at me right now, like, can you tell what I'm spelling?
Taylor? I don't know.
You got the, well, yeah. I spell that, hey, Taylor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But, like, I think you know,
it's a lot to like.
That's a lot to spell in the air with your nose and to be like, oh, that's exactly what it says.
Absolutely, obviously,
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how Esther began. She doesn't call it channeling; she calls it receiving. She doesn't like the word channeling, but it's how she began receiving Abraham. Yeah.
Sorry.
Start receiving some bitches. But yeah, that's how she started speaking with Abraham, who again is a consciousness, like an all-knowing power of sorts.
Got it.
Basically, what Abraham teaches through Esther is the main mantras of the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. The LOA, as it's called in the biz, was first coined in 1855 by Andrew Jackson Davis, who was a prominent leader in the American spiritualist movement. American spiritualism is a large basis from which many New Age teachings and movements are still founded on to this day, and has a pretty problematic past. I would recommend listening to Ghost Church by Jamie Loftus. It is about the spiritualist movement in America.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so a good podcast there. Basically, similar to like what I think of as like karma, energy, or like vibes. It's kind of in the law of attraction states that if you think positive thoughts, then positive experiences will come to you.
Sure.
Vice versa. This can be done, of course, by changing your attitude and perspective on life, but it also has a lot to do with manifestation, thinking about something that you want, and then that thing kind of appearing out of nowhere. Like, and again, it's hard because, like, to be clear, I guess I have it written here. I think that like having a positive attitude is like a good thing.
Sure,
you know? Like,
right.
it's 9 times out of 10 when you have like a better attitude, you'll see more success in whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether that's like losing weight, getting more money, whatever it is, you know?
Sure.
Like, yeah, if you're
Getting
just like
more
positive,
bitches.
getting more bitches, like, yeah, if you're positive, you'll probably succeed, have a better chance of succeeding.
Sure.
And again, like even like manifestation for all of its flaws isn't necessarily like a bad thing. Like if you want to just like put something out there, like there's nothing wrong with being like, I want to take a vacation to fucking Spain or whatever. Like just like putting it out there in the universe.
Right.
And like, yeah, you'll probably will eventually be able to do that. But you will come to learn that Esther and Jerry take this concept to an extreme, as most gurus do. They've made a lot of money doing it. When Esther is receiving messages from Abraham, she often does it in large conference settings where she would give motivational speeches, lectures, to attempt to help folks make their lives better.
Classic.
So it's pretty self-helpy. It's like less, like, I mean, like her whole shtick, I guess, is like self-help vibes,
Sure.
you know? She also takes a lot of questions that Abraham will answer. And when she is speaking as Abraham, she refers to herself in the third person and then says like we as like Abraham, you know? So it'd be like, we've seen this and like all this is how she like talks, you know?
Okay.
Because she's like channeling, quote
Right,
unquote.
right,
you know?
right. It's a different person speaking through her, allegedly.
Many of these lectures can be found on YouTube, and she has written and co-written about 9 self-help books with Jerry and Abraham. Some of the names of the books that she has written is one just called The Law of Attraction, Ask and It's Giving, Learning to Manifest Your Desires.
Giving.
It's given, but yeah, it's giving. The Vortex, where the law of attraction assembles all cooperative relationships.
Okay.
Getting into the vortex. Money and the Law of Attraction. The Astonishing Power of Emotions. The Amazing Power of Deliberate Intent. Just to name a few. So again, kind of, it's like
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just that very much like, you know, it almost is like Instagram, like spiritual, or like Instagram, like even like grind set pages where it's like you gotta visualize what you want.
Totally,
you know,
totally.
Like it's all in that kind of vein of everything. You know,
Yeah.
On the official Abraham Hicks website here, there is a list of the main teachings that Abraham endorses. Number 1, you are a physical extension of that which is non-physical. So you have a soul, I guess.
Okay.
You are here in this body because you chose to be here. Which I don't think I did, but
I wouldn't have.
like, get me out of this shit. Nah. Number 3, the basis of your life is freedom. The purpose of your life is joy. Not terrible.
Yeah, that's like nice.
4, you are a creator. You create with your every thought. 5, anything that you can imagine is yours to be or do or have. Which, again, can be kind of problematic if taken in a wrong context.
Right.
As you are choosing your thoughts, your emotions are guiding you. I mean, maybe. The universe adores you, for it knows your broadest intentions.
Okay.
Number 8, relax into your natural well-being. All is well. Parentheses, really, it is. Explanation point. Number 9, you are a creator of thoughtways on your unique path of joy. Which, again, kind of doesn't really say anything. Number 10, actions to be taken and possessions to be exchanged are byproducts of your focus and joy. So, like, actions, possessions, like, it's all like has to do with you. Like, if you're not rich, it's because you aren't focused enough, you know, like those kind of things. Number 11, you may appropriately depart from your body without illness or pain.
Oh.
And number 12, you cannot die. You are everlasting life.
Well, cool. There it is.
There it is, baby.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, it's like most of that is that thing you were talking about earlier where it's just kind of like slowly I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a lot of just
This is a lot
buzzwords
of
and
things,
bullshit, and you're kind of just saying things that are like slightly positive sounding
Exactly.
phrases.
And that's what I'm saying is like it's so hard to like, at least at this point, because I feel like we've talked about so many of these people.
Yeah.
It's like my brain just turns off whenever I'm like, there's a quote and I'm like, okay, yeah, manifest.
I heard that before. Yep.
You are
It's
joy.
like, this is honestly giving a little bit of like the vibes of the Scientology website and just like the like rings of whatever the fuck that they have. Like, and I mean, that's how it is with all of this kind of shit, right? It all kind of starts, and that's why it gets so drony, because it all just interconnects. It's all the same fucking bullshit you've heard 15 times before.
And I mean, and that's the thing that's hard about it is like, nothing is like original, really, you know? It's like
Truth.
Anytime someone's like, I've created, or like, you know, I have this new knowledge or whatever, it's like you can look up their ideas and there's 30 other cults or like philosophies that are the same thing, you know? Like, you've never had an original thought ever. Like, you, the listener, me, the podcast, we've never had original thoughts.
And that's fine.
It's okay.
That's like the human experience, is that nothing we do is original, and I find that comforting, frankly.
Me as well.
We don't need to get into that right now. And revelations I may or may not have had while on LSD.
Hell yeah, brother. But yeah, so if that all sounds like a bunch of bullshit, pseudoscience, because it super is. Also, keep those last two that I said in mind, because it can be
those
fucked.
were definitely my ears like perked up.
Like,
I was like, that sounds very wrong.
So another quote that I pulled directly from one of her conferences, and this is like a video that was on YouTube. I'm going to read it. Phoebe, please listen to me read this and tell me if you know anything that I'm saying by the
awesome.
end. Yeah.
Cool.
Manifestation is what you're shooting for when something that you want has not manifested, and so you are so aware of its absence that you are uncomfortable. Now you've taken your understanding of creation and your understanding of manifestation in the wrong direction, because the manifestation is evidence of alignment.
Okay. I mean, I kind of was getting at the beginning there. It's like, you try to manifest something, but you didn't, so you really notice that you didn't manifest it, so you try harder to manifest it, maybe?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think what she's trying to say is that, like, the more you want something, the more that it's not appearing. You have to like examine your alignment, is what she says a lot.
Okay.
Alignment being like, I think it kind of has to do with like,
blah, blah.
Yeah, your vibrations, your chakras. Like, there's something in your life that's like stopping you from it. Like,
take a shot every time she says manifest.
Please, yeah. Jesus Christ, we'd all be dead. So being the good little journalist I am, I decided to dig deep and look into some of the prices that taking a class with Esther and, more importantly, Abraham would cost. For a one-day workshop, you're going to be looking at about $225 per person. Definitely not a deal by any means, but like, okay, sure. Like $225, pricey. You're definitely going to be like, if you get a bunch of people going, you're going to be fucking rich. But, but like, not like too exploited. Yeah. You can also book a cruise to go on through Celebrity Cruises that do a whole plethora of workshops while at sea, which is always where the best cults end up, is at sea.
Oh no.
At fucking L. Ron Hubbard. For the lowest room, the price of it would be $1,432. And from what I could find, I don't think that this is with everything included as far as food and drinks. So this is just for the room. I don't know too much about like cruise prices, but I Googled and I've seen that other like basic packages with limited amenities can be like a few $100s. So this is pretty significant here.
Yeah.
The most expensive room, so there's like different levels obviously on the ship, for one of these cruises would be $7,332. And these workshops and cruises are in addition to the money that Esther is pulling in off of the books that she has authored.
Right. Also, yeah, just taking people to international waters never really sits right with me.
Yeah, and the thing about like, I guess Esther too is like, her and Jerry were very like secretive, and I don't really think that they had like very many like they didn't have like an inner circle like Teal Swan did, you know, like they didn't like physically do anything to abuse people. They just got really rich, and spread some like harmful rhetoric.
Right,
we're gonna get more into it, but like
Yeah.
that's where it's like, yes, she like definitely is kind of culty for sure in that way, because again, people love her books and like she's got this big following.
Yeah.
I don't think that she is isolating anybody, aside from just the general like telling people like, oh, if if someone says that like what we're talking about is bad, then like they're just a non-believer. Like,
Totally
they're gonna try to like tempt you away from like manifesting everything you want. Or like, oh, that person is ruining your alignment and your vibrations. Right. So there's that kind of stuff, of course, but again, she's not like going out of her way to be like, you can't see your family.
Sure.
Like, so Esther and Jerry were originally the primary focus of the movie adaptation of the self-help book The Secret, which is probably the most influential law of attraction book that has been released in our modern day.
Absolutely, yeah. And when you say The Secret, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Knows.
Frickin' Oprah got under the spell.
Oprah got pilled by The Secret. Hella secret pilled Oprah. A dispute took place over finances that caused the Hicks to pull out of the project. So I guess on the second release, or like the DVD release or something, they're no longer in the movie.
Interesting.
It's a little strange because according to them, all they want to do is spread the good news of their spiritual teachings across the world.
Yeah.
And you think that exposure from such a large film would be something that they would be rooting for, even if they didn't get paid as much as they would have liked.
Right. You would think that would be enough if that's like your whole fucking
that's like
shtick.
What you say you want, right? There's a lot of reasons why I personally think that these kind of teachings can be dangerous when presented to a vulnerable audience. As I was kind of telling Phoebe, not only are you telling people that they are the reason why they are like suffering, or that there's like something they have to continuously do. And if they aren't getting it, then they have to keep listening and buying your books and reading all this stuff. Like, So which I think is, first of all, just scammy and gross, but also can be dangerous if you're telling people that it's their fault that they aren't achieving things,
Exactly.
So yeah, not only does it blame one's own meditation and alignment, meditation and alignment as they call it, for the issues that they have in their lives, but it can also make people complacent and ignorant of the tragedies and atrocities that are happening on a day-to-day because everything is your own fault, right?
Exactly, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's like the disgusting shit that you heard when like Hurricane Katrina happened, and it was like, oh, they're sinners.
Exactly.
Like, oh, well, they caused this kind of thing to happen. They caused this kind of thing to happen to themselves, which is like obviously disgusting. Rhetoric.
Yeah, it's bad. It's in the same way like religion does that. You can kind of wash your hands of any guilt that you feel because other people just aren't manifesting themselves out of poverty well enough,
Right.
Or they're not manifesting like, or again, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but like in a worst case, like they're their vibrations were messed up, so that's why they were abused. That's why they were fucking raped. Like it's just all this like terrible stuff.
Yeah.
But the true kicker, in my opinion, that makes these teachings deplorable is the idea that people who are sick with terminal or chronic illnesses are only sick because they have negativity in their life that they won't fix. A classic.
No.
I listened to Abraham answer a question about this, and the gist of the argument was people who are healthy because they are aligned correctly, and people who are not are not. And nobody wants to hear a story about somebody who was healthy all their lives. They want to hear, miracle stories about someone being cured, which is a lot harder because they have to realign their vibrations with positivity, and like they have to change all these things. Because again, if you're born terminally ill or with a chronic illness, something's wrong with you, and you have to overcome it. Of
course. Yeah, it's giving eugenics.
Yeah, it's giving eugenics. They have said that doctors are not correct and are scaring people to death because they label diseases as fatal, and we just like believe them.
Sweet.
Because
that's so good of them to say that.
Because as it said before, under the rules, I think it was the 11th rule, or I mean, I guess the 11th and the 12th, you cannot die, you are everlasting life, right? Like,
right. So to call something terminal.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
In one interview, Abraham was asked if he thought the 6 million Jewish folks who died in the Holocaust invited that to happen to them. Abraham replied, and it was kind of a long reply, but again, the gist or the paraphrase of it was that everyone's vibrations match with what they are living. Dude. So in a way, the Jews did in fact bring that on themselves.
They vibrated their way into Okay.
Really good.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
really
no,
good.
This is great. It's like, and this is the thing, right? Is people can get into this very easily because it sounds so positive. It's like, oh, if I strive hard and I really focus hard on what I want and I think positive thoughts, good things will happen to me, which to an extent is kind of true. And then you work your way down to, Jewish people made the Holocaust happen because vibrations
exactly.
bad. And then it's too late. And then you're so fucking deep into this shit.
And it's crazy because I was trying to look for like, any stories of people who like, had something terrible happen and then like tried this and it didn't work. But like, again, they're so tight about it. Like they don't put that kind of stuff out. Like, when I Googled it, you can find 1,000,000 trillion success stories about the law of attraction, but you don't ever hear about people who had cancer and then like a loved one of theirs or like a loved one had cancer and they tried this and they still passed away. Like they don't tell you those things,
Exactly. Well, and I wonder too, like how many people are going to come across that Holocaust comment? Yeah. Like how many people who are into this are going to actually stumble across that? Probably not that many people.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And again, it's all just in like the way she fucking talks, because in that like video about her saying like, oh, like healthy people are healthy their whole lives because they're aligned correctly. Like it's like this giant, like again, two paragraph thing that she says, rambling. And it like, she twists it to where you're like, okay, wait, like you have to like think about it. You're like, you just said that people, it's their fault they're ill. Like,
exactly.
You're like, oh, they can cure themselves, but they aren't because there's something wrong with them.
But you have to be able to like unravel what she's saying and
Exactly.
remove the buzzwords from it to be like, wait a sec, that was fucked up.
Did you just fucking say that? Yeah. Like, no, that's exactly how it is. Like, and it's weird because it was a question that was like asked to Abraham. And so you can like hear the guy ask the question in the clip. And then like you hear Abraham, Esther, whatever the fuck, like answer the question, and the guy is just like, yeah, that makes sense. Like he's just like she convinces him right there. Like it's so crazy.
Fuck.
It's so crazy. Now for people who push this narrative as hard as they have, Jerry and Esther Hicks, Jerry Hicks passed away due to cancer on November 18th, 2011. He was, in fact, not able to think his cancer away. I think from the video I watched, they kind of like kept it under like wraps for a while that he was even sick.
Oh my God.
Like they said on the website for a good while that he was like the best physical shape of his life.
Sure.
And he like had cancer.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Esther has seen, or since his passing, claimed that she can now channel Jerry.
Oh, of course.
There's one clip of her being like, Jerry's here.
He says everything's great.
Everything's great.
He didn't die because of his vibrations. It was totally something else.
And I think like, and I don't even know, again, I'm trying to remember all of the details, but I think that she might have even said something like Jerry chose to like ascend.
Wow.
Because again, if you recall, number 11, you may appropriately depart your body without illness or pain. But yeah, so she says that she can now hear Jerry's voice. I'm not sure if she channels him separately or if it's just like part of Abraham, the all-knowing conscious now. But yeah, so she does all that.
Alrighty.
And that's pretty much what they've done. Again, I mean, she's pretty secretive, but she makes a fuck ton of money. Like the amount of people who, again, I just had like casually brought up that I was going to do this to, that were like, oh, my fucking mom read some of her books. Like,
exactly.
I was like, oh shit, well, it's
a
little
of
culty,
permeated everywhere.
If not a cult, at least a scam.
100%. Yeah. And how fucking old is this bitch?
She was born in 1948.
48.
Yeah.
So old. I don't know math.
Yeah, me neither. Let me check when fucking Jerry, because again, Jerry died in 2011.
Okay.
But let me see.
But she's still kicking it. She's like doing a seminar like soon.
Soon, yeah. She has cruises lined up. Like, it's
Jesus,
crazy.
Dude.
Jerry was born in 1927. So yeah, that makes sense.
Damn.
Because she was 1948. So
Old.
yeah, she's
Old.
kicking it for sure. Still doing her stuff. Yeah, I mean, and it's like weird because I think the thing that's kind of bizarre about her is she is like trying to claim that she like channels this all-knowing spirit, you know? Because aside from that, she's just like a self-help, like law of attraction
like if you
motherfucker.
didn't, you know, try to tell people that they're causing their own illness, or say you couldn't like channel, or say that it's like chill to just die and it's like not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't be so like it would be pretty innocuous, but you start spreading shit like that, and yeah, somebody's going to like not do anything to try to like somebody's going to not seek chemo.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they think their vibrations are fucking off or whatever.
Well, and the kind of people who you're going to get to come to all your fucking seminars, like, are going to be vulnerable people who have tried a lot of other things and are like, oh, this seems like and especially if you're promising them they can, you know, go without illness or pain. Like, that's, again, it's just very, like, predatory, and I don't like it.
It is. Because, yeah, you're going to be getting people that are mentally ill and people that are probably, like, chronically ill, and a lot of chronic illnesses out there are, like, confusing, and doctors don't really know what's going on. And then when these people tell you, oh, doctors are lying to you, and you haven't been able to find answers for this chronic illness you have, which I'm not saying, there's plenty of doctors out there that are fucking dick assholes, but, like... Yeah. You know, then these people are telling you, oh, doctors are lying to you. You can cure yourself through whatever the fuck. Like, then that's what you're going to do. And then you'll never feel better because this is a scam.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing is it's like, yeah, there's asshole doctors out there for sure. But I'm sure, I think the majority of doctors at least don't want you to like, you know, fucking like, have false hope, whereas like I feel like if someone's being like, come to my seminar that costs you, you know, however many $100 per session, and we'll help you, like they're obviously just trying to get money out of you. So.
Like they're like guaranteed you will be fine after this.
Yeah,
like,
it's bad.
Also, according to my calculations, which probably are wrong, she's like 74.
Yeah, probably in that range.
Which is damn old to be like still doing all this, like traveling around and taking cruises. Although, you know, people in their 70s really do seem to love cruises. So
they are keeping the cruise fucking business alive, actually.
Yeah, dude.
Because I don't know anybody our age who goes on cruises.
My parents went on a cruise somewhat recently, and they were like, and my parents are like in their, you know, mid-50s, and they were like, we were the youngest ones there.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, my parents have gone on a few, and they're like, yeah, no, there's like so many old people.
Yeah, which like, fuck, yeah, good for you. But
do your thing, honestly.
Like that's a very, she's been committed to this for a very long time.
Yeah.
A very long time.
Yeah, and I think it's just interesting how, like, she has had to, like, kind of keep everything more under wraps now that the internet is a thing, you know?
Totally, right?
Because there's just I'm sure there's more people who are willing to talk about how whack her shit is now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I mean, I guess you could consider her one of the leaders of just the overarching cult of, like, New Age, spiritualism, law of attraction, like, manifestation culture, you know?
Totally, yeah. Well, damn. Love that it aligned and we both talked about like spiritualist types. Yeah. Because, man, do they piss me the fuck off.
I manifested it, actually.
You
That's what happened.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, good lordy.
Good gracious.
Whale.
Where can we listen or see some pics, Phoebe?
You can look at some little pictures on Instagram at Remarks Podcast. We'll post some of Teal Swan's what does she call them? Frequency paintings, really?
Oh yeah,
whatever the fuck. And you know, pictures of these people. Check that out. You can look at our TikTok as well. Honestly, don't even bother. But Sorry, y'all. I've really let that one die. I'm gonna be totally honest. It's not a platform I'm good at. But if you feel like it, at Remarks Podcast, same thing. Taylor, what is up?
Twitter.com at remarkspod. You can see a few tweets. Usually I just post links to like the episodes, but you can see a thing or two that we retweet.
Yeah, and you post like your own little things on there. You talk
True.
about books and stuff sometimes.
I do like to
it's entertaining.
post about books. If you would like, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating, please. And I have music at Taylor Lacey, just on music platforms. You can give that a listen. TAYLERLACEY. And yeah, I think that's and then of course, shout out to our overlords, Circle Pit Radio.
Circle Pit Radio. We love y'all. And to our patrons, who are fantastic, wonderful, beautiful people. We have Andrew Vass,
Justin Vass,
Tere Soltero,
and Emily Duran.
You guys are the salt of the earth,
the shit,
the cream of the crop, the
cat's pajamas,
the cat's pajamas,
the elephant's tits, if you will.
Absolutely. And yeah, subscribe if you want. $5 extra content that's not really dark and sad. So
yeah, and I think it's
you can
funny.
Laugh a little.
Again, you're gonna get first dibs on merch.
This is true.
We're still working out other like benefits, but you'll be the first to know, of course, about like any new things we do. You can ask us like questions and talk to us more personally. Like, you can message us directly on there and comment and stuff. So you have a better chance, I guess, of getting our attention. But you can comment anywhere, of course. But yeah.
And please too. God knows that we need the interaction
online. Please help with the algorithm.
Anyway, thanks for listening, and K love you.
Bye.